guilty as charged.
Guilty for all of us.
The jury spent, I guess, an hour maybe deliberating, and I'm an optimist, so I was like, whoa, they're actually like talking about whether or not we're guilty. This is so cool.
And of course, we all had the foolish hope that maybe they're actually going to acquit it.
I think the only thing they were deliberating on, really, aside from what kind of pizza to have, was who gets what fine.
But it's a two-edged sword in a sense. If you want Bush in your backyard, you also have to expect that the First Amendment's going to be in your backyard. And it's not your job as a citizen of Crawford to join in some effort to suppress free speech.
Of course, it seems very odd to me that more people aren't concerned about breaches of their First Amendment happening regularly and in the President Bush's hometown even.
A lot of people in this country are arguing that by going to war to Iraq it's protecting our rights. However, the irony of it is that our rights were stripped in Crawford. We didn't have those rights. We didn't have First Amendment rights. We didn't have the right to protest. Even though we weren't even protesting in Crawford, we weren't allowed those rights.
I think what we saw going on is a pattern that we have around the country of this interplay between the White House and local police to prevent demonstrators from getting anywhere near Bush, wherever he may be. What happened in Crawford, I think, is an example of this. We've seen it happen here in Austin. There are numerous examples around the country. And the fight at the political conventions is the same thing over the free speech areas. There's a very concerted effort to keep people as far away from Bush as possible. And they do it by this little game that the Secret Service comes and whispers in your ear, try to make you feel part of the team, that you're helping them out, that these protesters are just there for, sordid purposes or whatever, and they co-opt them. And then the Secret Service goes into the background and leaves the local police out to dry. The Austin PD did exactly the same thing. He was here to dedicate the Bullock Museum, and then after they went to have lunch at the governor's mansion with Rick Perry, and people walked over from the Bullock Museum to protest, and the cops stopped them. So they could not get to the front of the mansion where the cars leave so that Bush would not see them. I mean, there is a traditional free speech area across the street from the governor's mansion where the cars go in and out. Traditional. And these people were trying to walk in that direction. Totally peaceful. No dispute about that. 30 people. Some of them retired hippies from the old days. And they were trying to get over there to protest. And the whole agenda of the Austin police was to keep them out of sight so that Bush could not see them when he came out of the mansion. And the same thing happened there. Secret Service visited them and talked to them, and then withdrew the background and let APD, the city of Austin, take care of it for them. As the police chief told us at trial, if you were walking down the street with a campaign button, that would be a parade, and you had to have his permit to do it. And so the statute on the ordinance on its face was unconstitutional, but also the way that it was applied. There was no intent to demonstrate, to parade. People were driving through Crawford to get to the ranch. They weren't stopping there to parade. And so when the police chief stops them and they get out of their cars and go to ask him what's going on, he says, well, now you're demonstrating. You have to have a parade permit. Get out of here in 3 minutes or I'll arrest you. Well, that's not a constitutional enforcement of any legitimate statute. So the judge ruled both ways for us. He said the ordinance on its face, the parade ordinance, was unconstitutional. And also the way that it was applied in this situation unconstitutionally suppressed the free speech rights of the demonstrators.